we've made the commitment to be at the Spa Castle on all of the equinoxes and solstices. And so we're inviting you. Do you want to come with us? Friday, September 22nd, to the Spa Castle for a day-long deluge in deliciousness. I just decided to keep the D's. Keep the D's, baby. It's a Friday, so you have to take off of work. I work for myself, so I'm giving myself permission to take off. We want you all to come out with us and share with us the fall equinox and what that means.
So I was saying that I was listening to the Styles P interview this morning because I was just like, let me catch up on everything we're talking about today. And I was doing double duty, putting on my makeup, watching it, listening to it, and I knew what it was going to be about. Him selling juice and health food juice and health in the black community. And then I knew they were going to start talking about their daughter who was 20 when she committed suicide. And I was listening to his wife, and I was just like, you know, just kind of anticipating her breaking down while talking about it. And I listened to her, and I was just like, oh, I was just thinking about how strong she must have to be to hold it together while talking about something, you know, so devastating. And then at some point, I think he was talking about how, you know, when they were speculating and talking about the things that they felt might have led to her, you know, taking her life, talking about the absence of her biological father in her life.
I think it was when Charlemagne asked him, you know, how do you feel, like, how do you feel not being able to fill that
right
role?
I know it was around that subject.
Yeah.
When he was just like, oh, I need a minute. And I was like,
he didn't say that. He just took it.
No, he was just, he paused. He was just like, asking us whatever. And I was like, I was like putting powder on. I was just like, I did not expect him to be the one to, like, you know, take a pause. I mean, I wasn't ready for it. No, I mean, no judgment.
No, I wasn't. No, there's no judgment.
But I was just like, wow, you know, it was just, I was ready for her, you know, because
I wasn't ready for either of them, because black people don't do emotions. You know, that's been my conversation for a while now.
Because I'm so emotional, I was just like, oh God, okay.
I didn't think she was gonna get emotional because nothing about her.
I don't know much about her.
No, I'm just looking.
Yeah.
I just saw her for the first time.
Okay.
I'm just looking at her demeanor throughout the interview, so that when they got to that, like, nothing about her. You know, she's West Indian. You know, we don't do like, you know, emotion real well. So at no point was I preparing for her to be emotional, but I definitely didn't expect him to go where he went. But I loved it, right? I was like, I can't. I texted Bae like, did you watch the Styles P interview? Shit, I can't. And see, I watched Styles P the day after I watched Jay-Z's first interview on Rap Radar, part 1. So part 1 I watched on like Tuesday, and then I watched Styles P on Wednesday, and I was like, listen, black male rappers, like, y'all better, like, listen, I can't. But I loved it. I loved just watching him talk.
They covered so much.
I know.
I was like, yeah, I was just like, they went from health, mental wellness, politics, Charlottesville, and connected, like, the health of black community with mental health, with our ability to be prepared for what's coming, what's happening.
He was like, if you can't fight for 3 minutes, 3 minutes is a long time. But can you really, like, slapbox for 3 minutes? You gotta watch the interview. Yeah. You gotta watch it. We'll try to put a link up or something. It was the Breakfast Club. It was just really, really, really good.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, DJ Envy and Charlemagne are so fucking stupid, and, like, sometimes their questions or the places that they go, like, you're like, y'all are so ill-informed on anything of substance. Like, I would have actually maybe preferred the two guys who interviewed Jay to interview Styles P and his wife, because they just seem to have a little bit more, like, conscious substance.
Yeah, I mean, that's always my problem when I watch anything on The Breakfast Club. The last interview I watched was with Janet Mock, and I was just, like, cringing most of the time.
You did say to me, like, they asked questions that most of us have.
Right. That I'm ignorant about. So you're like... So I was just like, they do...
I have one person who's transgender in my life, and because they opened up... Actually, I have two. Because they opened up their box, like they're transgender female to male, and they date females. I hate the term females, so they date women.
Okay.
They're transgender woman to man, and they date women. But then one day we were riding home, and they said that they have this dude that they date on the side. Not even date, this dude that they smash on the side to just keep their mind right. And I was just like, I was driving, I was like, okay, listen, since you opened up the box, I am going to go through. You open it up, so I'm gonna go ahead and let me ask you a question then.
Yeah.
And I was able to just ask a lot of questions that I just. So in that case, I just feel like I remember you saying, at least they were asking questions that you had too.
Right. Because I look at it like they represent a percentage of
I would say the majority.
Community. So
I would say the majority.
I have to look at it like that. At least they are interviewing people who are very, positively influencing the culture, and and the thing is, to watch for that.
I'm so stressed with Charlemagne because Charlemagne is conscious. Charlemagne is conscious. Mm-hmm. He is conscious and ignorant at the same damn time. Like, Charlemagne knows what's what.
Yeah.
And then he just does. You be like, Charlemagne, you don't know what ITEL food is? Like Charlemagne, you don't know what you think ITEL food is oxtail and peas and rice? Yeah, you gotta watch the interview.
Right.
Come on, Charlemagne.
I didn't even know about that ignorance until I watched it. I was just like, so you thought that Jamaican food was just jerk chicken and oxtail?
Like, do you not know Rastas? I appreciated the hell out of that interview. And his wife is so gorgeous. Like, gorgeous. And they've been together for a minute.
Yeah.
Like, I think she said 21, 22 years.
Over 20, yeah, definitely.
Like, they've been together for a minute. And he talked about how she brought him to this place, to this healthy wellness place. But then she talks about how he took it to a next level. Like, he's vegan, and she's just like, well,
I kind of was on the fence.
I'll go with organic. Organic. But she just recently turned all vegan. But it's so funny. I thought that's like such an indicator of like the relationship between women and men. Like, we'll bring them to something, and then they'll just be
they do something.
They'll just take over. They be like, what? Now I'm gonna do it to the height. You be like, baby, I was just showing you a little something. Why you gotta take it? Damn. Okay, the whole family gotta be vegan now, I guess. I was just trying to get you to eat an organic apple. I was telling Bae, because he loves Jay. He loves Jay, and I used to love Jay until his beef with Nas. And I remember, I don't know if y'all remember, but I remember being in my house listening to Hot 97 and having the battle go on between Ether and whatever Jay's song was. I think I listened to it yesterday. And I remember when Nas won, and I remember Jay has that line in his song when he was like, you trying to kick knowledge. He just played him. And I remember at that point, I decided that I was never going to support Jay-Z ever again. I told Bae this. He was like, you're freaking ridiculous. And I had every Jay-Z album up to that point. So this is like, I don't know, 96, 97, 98. I had every Jay-Z album up to that point. I threw them away. CDs. This is when I was living in Harlem. Because I am about this Nas life, right? Virgo Nation. I threw them away. And from that point, never, ever, ever purchased anything Jay-Z ever put out, ever. And was steadfast with that. Then him and Beyonce started getting real tight, and I was like, all right, but at that point, I still hated Jay, right? And I hadn't admitted that I loved Beyonce, right? I hadn't admitted it yet. I was like, whatever, like, she's okay. And I think it was B-Day. I think that album. I think it was B-Day, where I finally admitted that I loved Beyonce. And I was like, Jay is doing all of this? Like, Jay is this? And like, every album after that, I'll be like, Jay is inspiring you like this? Not this ignorant Negro. Can't be Jay-Z inspiring you to all of this. So it wasn't until the On the Run tour where I was just like, okay, so I love Beyonce and I'm a stan. And if I love Beyonce, I have to accept Jay-Z.
You have to accept him.
and then you just started, she had her HBO special and it was like parts of Jay-Z where he just looked human. Where he looked like a loving husband and father. And I was like, die, Jay-Z. And the album before Lemonade, I can't remember the name of it, but the grown-ass album, I was like, okay, well, maybe Jay ain't that bad because, the album is great. But then by the time we got to Lemonade, I was like, okay, all right, Jay, I can fuck with you. I might buy an album. Like, that's literally, so all of that, and Bae loves Jay-Z. Like, that's his dude. So he's looking at me funny. I'm like, whatever. So then 444 dropped, and, at Creed, my other business, we wrote about it for a whole week. 444 is for the culture. It changes the culture. Like, 444 is a cultural shift. All the videos that go with it, all the short docs.
It continues.
It continues. It is like 444 is a cultural shift in the way that A Seat at the Table is a cultural shift, in the way that Lemonade is a cultural shift. Like, that whole family is really moving culture.
Right.
Like, B, Solange, and Jay, they really friggin' moving culture. So, fell in love with 444, fell in love with all these shorts. Like, these shorts make me, like, cry. If you don't have Tidal, so on many levels, I feel like if you don't have Tidal, you're not about black liberation.
Right.
I'm just going to say it.
He said it in the interview, something about how it was interesting to me. A lot of it was interesting, but it was interesting to me about how, the marketing of it wasn't he didn't market it it didn't come out the way that he had intended for it to.
Yeah.
And even the interviews, the way that they were broken up, it was all one piece, which I can't even imagine now looking at it the way that it was released. Mm-hmm. He was intentional about this being about the culture and about him being explicit about, I'm giving you. Yeah. I wish I remember his line from there's so many.
For $9.99, I'm giving you.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, Jay doesn't give interviews like Beyonce doesn't. Beyonce gives more than he does, but they really control so much of what they do. And what I loved about Jay's interview is he was open. There was maybe two or three things that he was like, oh no. Like, I know one thing, he was like, oh, you gotta ask Beyonce about that, because they were asking him if he was gonna buy the Houston Rockets. He was like, you gotta ask her about that. Right. That's on the second part. Okay. But everything else, they throw it. He's like, oh, all right, let me tell you what the answer is. I was like, oh, yes. You were like, let me get my, you got, hold on. What else? You're like, you're gonna talk about that? You're gonna talk about the elevator? You're gonna talk about this? You're gonna talk about that? He was so open about therapy, about
all the way
vulnerability, about spirituality, about his dad. I was just like,
about his mom. I think his mom was in the second one.
Yeah, his mom's in the second one.
Smile.
Yeah, and just, if you ain't got Tidal, and look, and they asked him at the end of the second one, what's up with Tidal? Is he gonna sell it or whatever? And he was just like, we'll see. I just feel like you just got to get Tidal to do it for the culture. Like, he talked about Alonzo Ball. He was like, I bought 3 of his sneakers. I ain't get them. Right? I bought 3 of his sneakers because that man is doing it. Right. He is provoke him. I'm not gonna go there. So like you gotta support, and that's a lot of what he talks about in this interview, with Rap Radar interview. Like you gotta support. You gotta do what it is you gotta do. Those two interviews are fantastic for me as a person who loves hip hop and feels like I'm a child of hip hop. And when we talk about all of the misogyny and all the materialism and all the capitalism and all the isms that could hurt the culture, it's good to have space for both, because I need both, right?
Right.
I need
both.
both.
I mean, Jay even said, he was just like, I'm not being the fun police. I'm not
saying
have fun.
I put money next to your ear, buddy.
I love hearing him say that. Because a lot of times it's always either or, you know? Yeah. And he's just like, go have fun, do all of that stuff, but it just can't be that is it.
He was like, also get your lawyer fees right. Like, go ahead, put your money phone in your ear, but please pay your lawyer fees. Please do X, Y, and Z. The way that they talked about family and business, even Styles said, you know, like, we grow up talking about black men, and I think Jay said it too, like, just focusing on grinding, just getting money. Mm-hmm. And, you know, your wife got to be, like, the one to be like, excuse me, we're going to have a movie night with the kids? Are we gonna do something? And finding that balance. And one of the things that Jay says on the second one about rap and hip hop is that it's only 20 years old. It's still very young. And so, you know, no 47-year-old has put out an album, a rapper. Right? So Jay is doing that, and he's talking about what a 47-year-old talks about, right? He says when you're 18, and I think Jay came out when he was like in his mid-20s. Like 26, 20, 24, something like that. Like, he didn't come out like 18. He came out when he was a little bit older.
Okay.
But that when you talk about how young hip hop is, if we say, I don't know what the date is, the 80s, right? Or very late 79. Mm-hmm. It's 20, 30, 40 years young, and we don't know what it could be. Right? Because at one point on the second interview, they asked him, you know, about battling and who's the best rapper. And he was like, we're growing. Because you could have a Kendrick Lamar and Amigos. You can't compare those two, but there's space for both of them. Right? And that Jay isn't competing with none of them.
Right.
Like, I'm talking about some shit, you know, that you ain't even thinking about. Because when you're 18, 19, 20, you're thinking about one thing.
Yeah.
And I loved, for me, both him and Styles P really moving the culture and moving our culture of being like, you get older and you change and you don't have to wait until you're 47. There's a part when he was like, yeah, like I knew, and he says it on 444, like I knew if I lost B, that would be a problem, like that would fuck me up. Like that would be a real problem in my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, tell it, bruh. Let them know, bruh. Like, let them know. Our fall book this fall is You Look Like Something Blooming, a memoir of divination, seeds to cultivate your feminine garden and temple. Let me tell you something. This is a weird book. Okay? No, I have to tell you that.
I love weird.
It's not like this. It's not like this. It is different. So this is not for the faint of heart, and it is not for the church girl. It is not for anyone who is caught up in respectability politics. Or caught up in having a framework of femininity or black femininity or womanhood that fits in a box. So this is our full book to take us in, not for the faint of heart, but in September, this is what we'll be reading. You Look Like Something Blooming, and we invite you to come out with us in September, October, and November as we dig through this text.
Soul Sister Series, in pursuit of a pleasure-filled life, though shit keeps on happening.